Sorry.
My question is, so people usually want the love triangle to be a part of you as the main character. But the thing is, I thought outside the box. I was like, what if you're watching the love triangle instead? And people are like, it kind of takes away because you're supposed to be selfish in a visual novel. How did it feel watching the love triangle develop instead of being inside the love triangle?
Is that to say that thinking of Arya as not as a stand-in for the player, but as its own character?
Yeah, I guess so because well, no, okay, I guess you're supposed to be Arya, right? But
Yeah.
you're not the one that experienced the love triangle between Ty and Tanner. That's Layla. So
I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Because it is a whole B plot going on without agency from the player, and I think that makes the game feel so much more lively that there is another story going on with another girl making another choice, Layla's choice, that's completely outside the agency of the player beyond, what route you went down. That's kind of the choice that makes Layla decide. But it does make the world feel more alive that there are things going on outside of the player. I think Persona 3 is a game that exemplifies that very well, where the other characters in the team have a life outside of the player character, where they're developing their own relationships and friendships outside the agency of what the player's doing. And that makes the experience feel so much more lively.
I'm not gonna lie, the minute you said Persona 3, I was like, disturbing the peace.
Look into my eyes.
Yeah.
Tell me the things you're blabbing about me behind my back.
Yeah.
The tenacity. Sorry.
I have yet to finish that game. I got stuck.
Great game.
I got stuck. But no, because a lot of thing is that because I was writing through what I would like to see in a game, because I don't like looking at a development perspective, because I feel like when you write as a developer, you get so stuck in certain cliches you need to write. You lose sight of what you want to see that's refreshing. And the problem with that when I did what I did is that although I enjoyed it, other gamers want to see the tropes, the cliche, because it makes them feel more like desired. So because like Arya isn't part of the love triangle getting fought over, it's like, why am I being pushed to the side? Like, why is she getting all the attention? It's kind of like, I guess in a way, like, kind of like jealousy in a sense. It's just like, I don't care about this other character. Like, instead of it feeling more lively, it feels like she's taken away from your life.
Yeah, I could definitely see that angle, but you want to be careful to not let the player character be a main plot black hole where everything revolves around them, because it can lead to that a tangent of the Mary Sue.
That's what
where,
I felt like.
Yeah, like you don't want to fall into that pitfall. And I think having the separate love triangle going on outside the central focus really helps bring you out of that. But I can see what you're saying about if you don't care about Tanner, Ty, and Layla, it can be derailing for the enjoyment of the player. But that's just, some people are going to like it and some people aren't. I think you'll do more net good with it than you would without it.
I think it's kind of like if I was able to employ a way to be like, if do you want to just focus on yourself or focus on world building, essentially, like a way to be like, do you want to focus on friendship or focus on love? If there's a way to do both, it's just like I would have to remove like the voice acting feature because that would be so much more addition and moving the goalpost. But in that sense, like if they really wanted all that extra fluff, then it's like you would be able to get both options. But I personally like the way I did it because like that's something I would prefer to see. Like, because it's like it's different to see it happen to someone else instead of being in the typical. It's like, okay, so two people are fighting for me. My two options. Who am I gonna pick? Like, okay, good boy or bad boy? It's just like, what if someone else was in this situation? Like, how would you react? Type of mentality, I guess. Or
Yeah.
what? Yeah. So like,
Depending on the persons, you can be happy for someone else in their happiness, and you
mhm,
can share in that. Where some people are just selfish, where they can only find enjoyment from their own victories.
mhm. But with the Mary Sue, that just kind of reminded me of the Have you ever seen Star Wars?
Oh, I think I know where this is going. Yes, please go on.
I feel like we shouldn't bring it up then. um, is her name Ray?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so it was funny. I saw like a TikTok the other day. I think the reason why Ray was so hated was because of who's the stormtrooper's name?
Finn?
Finn. They had set up Finn so well. They
They did.
had established him like they were like, it was such a great idea. Like, oh, a stormtrooper being the main character. And then I don't know where you get this random girl coming in to take on being the next Jedi or whatever. And you're like, but why?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people be like, oh, you're just hating because it's a girl. But if you think about it in this way, if you ever played Danganronpa 3 V3, what did people hate? It's you played as, I forgot the girl's name. I don't know if you ever played Danganronpa, but
It's on the playlist. I haven't gotten
okay.
to it yet.
Oh, I don't know if I should spoil it then. Anywho, the main character, something happens to the main character. I can't spoil it, and it was gonna be such a good flip flop. Where you are so excited because it's like it's the first time that happens to the Danganronpa, and then they do something, and you're like, oh, this is what happened now.
Why now I gotta play Danganronpa?
Yeah, so
That's
now
what JJ was
yeah,
talking about.
so I was just like, dang, okay, it's gonna be harder to discuss what I was gonna go about
I'm
because
so sorry.
yeah,
My ever-growing backlog. I could never get around to it.
yeah, I feel that because I don't mind spoilers. So when I talk, I'll be like, okay, you can spoil it because I probably will play again, but I probably also won't. So like anywho, oh, I remember what her name is.
For any viewers.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, I remember what her name is, but I'm not gonna spoil it. But anywho, with Star Wars, I think that like I was just like, if you flip it around, it's the same problem. They had virtually the same problem because it's like if it was like a small chunk of time you invested in that character, it's understandable. But you invested the whole film with Finn, right? And then the next two movies, they made him into like a side character.
Men like a Ray. Just keeps yelling out for Ray.
So, and with like Danganronpa, they essentially do that with like the rest of the game. You're like, are you serious?
Oh.
Yeah, and
no.
Yeah. So it's like, so you're telling me that I got invested in a character who is no longer gonna be the main character. So like, yeah, and I think that was the main problem with Ray. It's like I don't even know if she, like, cause, what was it? Like, yeah, she was like she has no special abilities or something like that. Finn had no special abilities, but it was just like his background was so much more interesting. Like he was like a stormtrooper and whatnot. Ray was found in like a random desert. I was just like, okay, why should we care about her?
Because the Stormtrooper to Jedi narrative would have been such a compelling narrative, but
exactly.
Rey, I feel like Rey is a Mary Sue because her background does not justify her skill level or natural ability to just get things on first try. She doesn't really make any mistakes that she learns from. She's never held accountable for her actions. She was a scavenger since she was a child, and she just kind of she rises. I'm trying to say not to give any spoilers. I'm trying really not just say the things I'm thinking. But her her skill level and abilities are not justified by her background. People say that Anakin is a Gary Stu, but being that he was spawned from midichlorians, so he has a natural sensitivity to the Force, and that he was trained from a very young age by Qui-Gon Jinn and later Obi-Wan Kenobi to be who he was, makes so much more sense than what Rey did. And I feel like Finn got cheated out of a really, really good narrative. I've heard, I don't know, that it was kind of a censorship thing where they were trying to appeal to certain marketing demographic, like they were trying to keep their stock share in China, so they had to avoid making Finn such a central focus. I don't know if that's true, but that's just what I've heard.
Yeah, I don't really know, but it was just like Finn would have also been a very good character to focus on to at that point in time. I would say I'm not gonna develop into why, but I feel like we could have also been like, oh, but this would have been a stepping stone in itself if we really wanted to go deep about it. But like, and it's just, when I think of characters, I think of more backgrounds instead of other type of things. And so, but with just the whole stormtrooper aspect, it would have just been enough, honestly. So
that would have been really interesting to see.
Yeah, so it's just kind of disappointing to just to see how it all went about, because I know some people didn't like was it called Rogue One?
Yeah.
But I honestly didn't mind it, and like it was with a female lead, right? Oh.
Yeah.
So like it's not like you're not allowed to have a female lead. I know in certain places they don't like having female lead because it doesn't appeal to having a higher audience. My friend told me like the reason why Persona stopped adding like a female MC is because they're losing money because female lead doesn't sell.
They didn't like Maya?
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying like you have to spend more money, because think about it, you have to voice the character and then have different dialogues and whatnot for it. So it's a nice option, but if you have to do all that for like a AAA title, it's like, you know.
You're talking about adding Kotane to Persona 3 Portable, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because they did have to get the cast to come back to redo lines that had he and him in it to she and her. But I was also thinking about Maya from the Persona 2 duology with Tetsuya, where it was just a whole game that Maya was the protagonist in.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, it's just like it just really all depends on like the story you're going for. But yeah, like I think Rogue One did a good job, because I really kind of want to spoil how it goes, but like it was a good standalone movie, even though a lot of people did not like it for some reason. I don't know why people didn't like it, but it was a good standalone movie. So like if they wanted to like establish Rey as that type of character, I feel like they could have literally just made Rey for that movie, like they did with that character. I don't remember her name because it's been a long time since I played it, saw it, and no one really talks about Rogue One. But it's not because I don't value the character. It's just more so no one really wants to talk about that film. So
yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know why people think it's such
stronger Disney releases. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why it's such a negative film. It was actually pretty good. So, yeah, but yeah, it is pretty difficult when it comes to having alternative routes when it comes to games, because you do actually have to budget if you don't plan ahead of time for you know, changing certain dialogues. So it's like, is it really worth it at the end of the day? But like, I know fans like having that extra route, but it's like DLC. DLC.
It's instant replayability.
Yeah. Like, dude, will fans really pay for that DLC though? So like, I know fans were upset with having to pay for episodes ages.
Episode, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was already part of the either portable or PlayStation version, PS2 version.
P3 Fez had episode IGUS, but
Yeah.
for P3 Reload, you had to pay for it separately, and it was
Yeah.
not included in the Ultimate Edition, which I bought.
Yeah.
It wasn't even included in the IGUS edition. That was like $200 and had a physical IGUS statue. It wasn't included in that either.
Mm-hmm.
And I still bought it because I'm a clown.
So that's why I'm like, yeah, I understand people's frustrations with it, because like, yeah, some companies just want to make money, but also at the same time, a lot of this does take money at the same time to make. So
Yeah.